Welcome to our e-learning series on data and data science. In this video, we'll be talking about the basics of data and its importance in decision making. Data is simply information that can be analyzed and used to draw conclusions or make decisions. It can come in many forms, such as numbers, text, or images, and can be collected and organized into datasets. A philosophical definition would describe data as things known or assumed, as facts that make the basis of reasoning or calculation. There is a range of types of data, so let us try to cover a few taxonomies for data. The most common taxonomy separates data depending on what they measure. Data can be simply text and are then called qualitative. We distinct qualitative variables that can be ordered and call them ordinal, from the one that cannot and are called nominal. For instance, let us consider a dataset of consumer data. The dataset includes the economic status of each customer. These variables can be ranked, hence will be an ordinal variable. Data that presents itself in the form of numbers is called quantitative. That is usually the most common type of data used. Here, we separate data that are used for counting and call them discrete, from data that can take any numerical values, and those are called continuous. Data can also be classified according to its provenance. In this case, we'll distinct data that we create/record, that is primary data, from the one that we can also recover from an existing record or database, that is secondary data. Businesses, through their day-to-day operations, naturally create data. It is also important to note that combining data from primary and secondary sources can often improve the quality of an analysis. Let us take the example of an airport. To predict the future number of passengers, you will need the number of passengers in the days before. That is primary data. But you could also use weather forecasts. That is secondary data, and this would improve your prediction. A popular way to separate data is also based on the availability. Who has access to it? Data that is completely public is usually called open data. Open data initiatives are often driven by governments and organizations which publish data related to various domains in order to support innovation and decision making. The categories then change depending on the ease with which you can access the data. We find decreasing order of ease, internal only, confidential, and finally, restricted data. All in all, there is an almost infinite amount of ways to describe data. So let us take a closer look at a dataset and try to understand how it works. We have here an example of a customer dataset. We see that each piece of information, or data point, is related to identifiers that we call keys. For instance, we can see that our customer, Arthur, has a recorded spending. The value itself is attached to his column name, which is the variable name. And it's also associated with an identifier, or key, which could be the customer ID or the date of recording. The key allows to group the data depending on what information I want to extract from the dataset. If I want to follow a specific customer, I will use the ID key, or if I'm interested in the general sales over time, I would prefer the timestamp key. Each dataset is unique, and the data stored inside must have been collected or recorded in different ways depending on who constructed the dataset. A way to ensure that the data can be used easily is to provide information or data on the dataset. We call this data about data metadata. An example of metadata for the dataset seen previously could be the following. It can show the purpose of the data, its time of creation and offer, the source of the data and its quality, or the names of the variable along with the type of data present in the dataset. So far, we have seen a bit of theory on what data is and how does a dataset look like. But what makes data so important in decision making? In business, the quality of a decision depends heavily on the quality of the information we have. This is why data is so important. Data provides us with an objective fact and insights that helps us make more informed decisions. It allows us to understand complex situations, identify trends, and evaluate outcomes. By analyzing data, we can gain a new perspective and make decisions based on evidence rather than intuition or personal opinion. This can help us avoid biases and make decisions that are more likely to be effective and accurate. Furthermore, data helps us measure and track the success of our decisions. By collecting and analyzing data after making a decision, we can evaluate its impacts and make any necessary adjustments. This not only helps us refine our decision-making process, but also allows us to improve continuously and make better decisions in the future. It looks like data can solve all of our problems, but it is important to be aware of the potential risk involved in using data to make decisions. Data can be biased, incomplete, or just of poor quality, hence leading to potentially bad decisions. It is important to remember that data can help you in decision-making, but human insights are still needed to maximize the benefits of using data. I hope you enjoyed today's video and join us next time as we continue our journey into the exciting worlds of data and data science.